It's me, it's the Anthony BTG rolling once again with that BT trouble bitch. I'm taking up the whole screen. You got myself, Nicky the Good, and we have the Meat Pop Express. And boys, we have the jam-packed episode for you today. I hope you watched episode 1 of this special we got going on here. We just dropped that yesterday. So this right here, we are Saturday morning. It is the morning of WrestleMania Night 1. Right, if you're watching this. And so, Ben, listen, we wanted to give our thoughts, right? SmackDown has not aired at this time. So anything that happens on SmackDown that changes what we were saying, it's their fault, not ours. Listen, Khan, bump, I don't know, find another day to air it so we could talk about it in real time. But we are recording this again Thursday night, right? I got a cup of coffee here. Thursday night, I'm sipping on the old...
nice cup of Joe.
I got the old nice... Stella Blue. Shout out my man Big Cats, right? So Ben has a really large cup, larger than mine.
Very much so.
We're going to talk about WrestleMania. Ben, I want to know right out the gate, what are you most excited for outside of the main event?
I mean, this might be the bit. I think, like, not trying to be hyperbolic here, but I think this is the biggest WrestleMania of all time when it comes down to it in terms of what can happen. In terms of just the gate, in terms of everything, this seems bigger. WrestleMania seems bigger than it ever has been this year in pop culture and everything. I mean, we could talk about the viewers every week and that this that, it just seems so much bigger than it ever has. I would say what I'm most excited for. You want us to talk about matches now? Or you want to talk about like?
I want to talk about if there's any moment. I mean, if there's a match,
moments.
Talking about. Man,
I don't think it's crazy.
Storyline, anything.
I'm interested. There's so much, and it's hard. Like outside, let's not talk about the A program right now. We're not going to talk about the main event because everyone's excited about the main program. But so let's put that on hold for just a second. We'll get to it. But even like, I'm excited for the ladder match. The 16, and I never am excited for those because those are usually like the let's get everybody on the card type matches. Let's get everybody a nice WrestleMania payday, which is great. But it's like the schmoz fest, and everyone's like, it's just a spot fest, and no one's really up for it. But there's actually story involved. You have the Judgment Day. Are they collapsing? Are they imploding from within? You have guys like the Awesome Truth. You got Waller and Theory. You got DIY, who's their first WrestleMania ever. And they've been there for 10 years. Like there's so many storylines in a freaking ladder match.
I know.
A 16 ladder match. That's insane that I'm actually invested in that. That's never happened before. And the other thing that I cannot wait for, because he's my favorite wrestler right now, bar none, is Gunther and Sami Zayn. I wish it was dragged out a little bit more. I wish we had more time with it. I feel like things happened and they just had to throw something together, but they threw this together and it seems so cool because it is like a Rocky 3, Rocky 4 storyline.
I mean, they're pulling the vignettes are pulling exactly from.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing. And I think I think that match, again, outside the main event, I think that match will steal the show of the week. That'll be the show. That will be the match of the weekend of those two, because they're both incredible. And the story's there, a monster heel, an underdog baby face, and then Chad Gable, which we have no idea what's going to happen there. I have no clue. That match is what I'm looking forward to the most. What about you, Nick?
Well, I think I think Gable does Gable just turn heel? Like what? Like
it's like, what is he doing? Too early though.
It does, right?
Early. I don't know. That's what's great. I
don't know where they go with that. That was one of my. I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to, like a lot, because you know me. I love entrances. If you give me a good entrance, I don't really care what I want to see. Jade Cargill's entrance.
Oh, and her gear. It's gonna be incredible.
Dude, this woman is just the most like aesthetically perfect specimen for professional wrestling, like a professional wrestling female act. Like she is daunting to look at, and you know that the WWE, when they see money in something, they just get a different level of treatment. Like you look at The Rock's entrance now, right? The Rock's entrance right now might be the greatest ever. Like,
yep.
And it has evolved they have tweaked it every single week. That's the type of value you get from WWE production when they see money in you. Jade Cargill,
Absolutely.
they see so much money from her from a marketing standpoint, from a merchandise standpoint, from hopefully, in ring, being someone that could carry the belt, the strap. Her entrance to me, dude, they may just have real fucking like lightning bolts and tornadoes in that fucking bitch for Storm.
I mean,
Like,
she's like she has like a storm gimmick, right? From
bro,
X-Men.
dude, yeah, that
I,
that that's the opening. Like a storm is coming. Like that's the beginning. She's basically Storm from X-Men. She looks better than Storm from X-Men, right?
it's
Maybe
unbelievable.
not that Halle Berry. How you doing? But she listen.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Jade
That's a toss
Jade
up.
Cargill's entrance at WrestleMania has been something that when I first saw her, I said I would love to see what WWE can do with her.
Oof,
To
yeah,
me, that is bigger than the match. I don't give a shit what happens. It's gonna be a good match. That's a stacked six
of
six
course,
woman tag.
of course.
But
And
though that
Jade's going to like Jade doesn't have to do too much in the match
no,
because you
no.
got Bianca, you got Naomi. You have Jade there to make an impact.
Perfect.
Have
This
them.
is
Yep,
why WWE is so damn smart. And also, like, it goes, you can even relate to the situation with Jade back to like what they're doing with The Rock. Like, I don't know what the plans were initially if Punk didn't get hurt, but the fact that The
hmm
Rock's match is a tag match is fucking genius because the reality
perfect.
is he's 51 years old.
Is that how old he is?
Yeah. The Rock is 51 years old. First of
It's
all,
his age.
and so that's the two things outside of the main event. We can kind of get into the main event here a little bit now because I think that's the majority of what everyone wants to hear about. And we can
Yeah.
talk about other stuff. We'll talk for about another 15 minutes and then we'll get out of here because it's a curtailed episode. But The Rock took some bumps finally. He took some, he took finally Cody got his hands on him. I thought he looked good selling. Like I thought he looked really
hmm
good. I think he looked crisp. But there's the thing, man, brother. He is 51. He's carrying all that fucking muscle. He's a
hmm
big bastard. He's the biggest
Oh,
in
he
the
is.
ring. Having in a tag match is so damn smart
hmm
because, dude, all the time's a bitch. And like
Oh, it is.
the
It
last
is.
thing
And
you
you could be
want
as
is
in great shape as possible, but
it doesn't matter. Like
it doesn't matter.
Edge looks great. Like I'll say that. Edge looks great. But The Rock is carrying like, dude, he's like
A lot
200. He's
more
got to
weight.
be like 290. Fuck. He's on a
He's
fuck.
got to be at least 270, at
He's got to
least.
be too sad. Like he has to be.
I think he is. I think he's between 260 and 270 right now. He's
Dude is
enormous.
he's enormous. He makes everyone look small, but it makes sense because he is the final boss.
Not
But
me.
no, he would not
But
make it.
no, Rock. I mean, that it's a perfect spot for Rock because we know what happened last, a couple of like 10 years back. He get hurt, wrestle the Mania match. But this is the perfect way to use the Rock. He's gonna, in this heel persona. I mean, the Rock hasn't. This is the best the Rock has been, and really, and I'll say it, the Rock was the best, one of the best at selling. Like, and he does a great job at. He made everybody look great. Everyone knows he is one of the best at taking the stunner, and you can call it foolish, you can call it cartoonish, but everybody remembers The Rock taking the stunner, and he always got a big pop for his sales of the stunner.
Yeah.
So Rock is one of the best main event sellers of all time. So, and that's selling in the ring, folks. He is. So yeah, that was kind of his calling card. But this match, this program that they're running, I don't like. This has got to be Nick. This is gonna be like a top 5 program of all
Ever.
time.
Ever.
Like I
Oh,
don't think it
it's
might be
not
even
it's
be like
it's
it's
right
in
up there
top
with
3.
it's right up there with NWO in
It's
my
up there
mind.
with NWO. I think it's up there with the saga of Austin Rock. It's up there with Brett and Sean.
Brett HBK, Kane Undertaker, um
NWO.
NWO, Sean Brett, Rock Austin McMahon, Hogan,
Yeah, Austin
like
McMahon.
Hogan Andre, Hogan, like
Hogan Andre. Yeah,
like
but this has got it.
like this is because the Rock is a Mount Rushmore guy. Like Rock is one of the top 4 guys. You put him on the Mount Rushmore because of the impact he's had on the wrestling. It's like you're not going to put Vince there anymore, right? Because Vince can't talk about him. So,
Yeah.
but like the Rock's there. It's like Rock. It's like Rock, Austin, Hogan. Okay, who's the 4th? Like that's usually the way it goes. You know,
Yep.
that's usually the way it goes. And what's funny is like, I mean, Austin and Rock they wrestled like full time for like 6 years. Like
Yeah,
it's got to
which
be
is
Hogan.
but
Like it's like Rock, Austin,
it's
Hogan.
got to
Who
be.
else?
It's got to be
Flair.
Hogan. I mean, Hogan's the biggest star of WrestleMania of all time. Maybe
Yeah.
just he main events, right? But at this point, Roman Reigns is up there now.
Right. Roman
Hey,
is
John,
interesting because he's never going to get his flowers because you can say that literally like the first 7 years, he basically was just like forced. Like those were not like that wasn't, I hate saying this word. I hate it. But like, I don't feel like, and I think he would agree. I watched his bio, right? I watched the
Mhm.
Legends thing he did. I don't feel like he thinks he earned the spot. Like he was in the spot, but you could see where he was like, I don't feel like I have their respect. Like he knows he was being put in those spots, but I don't necessarily think that he like feels that he earned those, right?
No, I agree.
Like,
It almost didn't seem like it was natural for him.
like he didn't want it. Like he didn't enjoy
yeah,
it,
yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
And because it just didn't feel like it was him ever. I think people see that. Like the people, we give fans a lot of crap, and we always talk about marks and stuff. But you know what? Like, and we're half joking, half serious. But 75% serious, 25% joking. But I think like we wrestling fans don't get enough credit because a lot of times fans can see through when someone's not being like their organic self.
We know
And
the
I think it
wrestlers
was
better than people give us credit for.
yeah, like I think people saw that with Roman, and then finally when he embraced this heel character 4 years ago, or 3 4 years, whatever it was, when he finally aligned with Paul Heyman, it like people were like, okay, now this seems natural for this guy. Like
I
this seems legit now.
let me ask you, did you watch the full
I didn't watch the full documentary
so
on it
there's
yet.
a moment in the documentary where, they're going through like Roman's come up as the guy, but he's not loved by the fans. Like he's basically hated as a
Mhm.
babyface. And they're talking about how it just wasn't natural. And like they're very transparent about it. And then they talked about, and we'll get back to WrestleMania, folks. Trust me. Then they talked about how, like, okay, then the pandemic happened, and then he came back during the pandemic, and he hit the spear with the "Wreck Everybody and Leave" shirt with the veneers. And when that happened, they had this little cut to Jey Uso, and he goes, "I saw that, and I go, that's Joe." He
Mhm.
knew that's the guy. That
Mhm.
is the guy who I grew up with. That's
Yep.
the dude. There it is, right there. And I think that's where Roman, like, when he became the tribal chief and head of the table, you could almost say that's when his run really actually began. The rest was just more or
Mhm.
less like a Vince thing. This is the real deal.
There's very few main I'm talking about main event A-list main event guys who got over not really just being their organic self turned up to 11. We can say Kane, Undertaker, two of the greatest characters of all time. Mankind, Mick Foley, a couple of the greatest characters of all time. Right? We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They were playing characters that aren't themselves. But even Taker went back to himself for a little bit,
Right.
and he was just for 3 years. He was American Badass, Big Evil, and he ended up being himself for a bit. But obviously, he got over being more of a character. So some guys can. I'm not saying it's everybody, but the guys who have been their organic self, just turned up to 11, are the ones that have gotten over the most. And I'm talking about guys like Stone Cold, talking about guys like The Rock. We could talk like HBK. We could
Flair.
talk about guys like Kevin Nash, Flair, of course. Yup, Ric Flair. And now guys, Roman Reigns, John Cena. These guys are the ones who just really are themselves. That they're their own character, and they just turn it up a bit. They embellish who they are.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Roman's where he needs to be. That's why he's in the spot that he's in now. And I'm happy for him because this is everything you could ever want. Again, I agree. This is definitely a top program of all time. Um, let's see. Is there anything else on the card? I mean, listen, the card is so massive, and we're not going to go through it all because I'm sure we're going to talk about it like all at nauseum after the fact. Um, but like we have like, let's see, is there anything else that just stands out? We have the brother versus brother. Like,
Oh yeah,
there's
that's
so
not getting
much.
enough play, dude.
Like,
I mean,
it's not getting enough
that's gonna be
play.
a banger match. We should have brought
It's
that
probably
up.
going to open. It's probably going to open,
I think
right?
so. I think the two opening matches for WrestleMania, night one, night two. Well, I think night one, the opening match should be Jay versus Jimmy. I think that 100% should open the whole weekend. That should open both nights because you don't want to have Jimmy and Jay wrestle on the same night because obviously, most likely, which I think Jimmy will be involved in the main event of night 2. So night 1, I can go either way. I don't know. I don't know that I have no prediction for that one, which is great. I have no idea, Jimmy or Jay. But I think night 2, another underrated match, and this guy obviously has been over. Kind of the steam wore off a bit because of how hot WWE is, and no fault to his own. I'm talking about LA Knight and AJ Styles. I think that match could be a hell of an opener for night 2. If you open with that,
I think it does open night 2. The only other match that could open night 2 is something I want to talk about is like Rollins and Drew. I think that with CM Punk on commentary, I think that match to me has gotten as close to a 1A, 1B situation main event as you could possibly get to the Bloodline. Like, make no mistake about it, The Rock, Cody, that whole thing is number one. And it's nothing else is even like in its stratosphere. But dude, like I am so interested in how this goes down. The fact that you get to hear Punk talk the entire match.
Oh yeah, and then Punk's entrance. So
That's what
you're gonna
it's
that place is gonna
so
explode.
fucking genius that you're gonna get Punk's entrance at WrestleMania.
I like that idea.
And he's got steam behind him, dude. He's got steam behind him, and he's not even wrestling. He can't even wrestle, and he's got steam behind him. And then you have Drew versus Rollins.
Drew, the best he's ever been.
This is what I'm gonna say about this match. This is Drew's coming out party. Drew needs to win this match. He deserves it. He's the only guy that I will say, hey, have 2 belts. Have 2 belts. He has made that fucking belt.
Yeah, he has.
Something that I give a shit about. He has made the World Heavyweight Championship, the big gold one, something I finally care about. And I hate the motherfucking brand split. I fucking hate the damn 2 titles. Eventually, I think you got to get back to 1. But if Drew has it, I think it works. I will see him as a other world champion, right, within one company. This needs to further the storyline for CM Punk with Rollins and with Drew. But also, I'm begging you, Ben. If you guys are listening to me out here, my hands are in prayer right now. Seth Rollins, after he loses this title, you got to get rid of this fucking gimmick. Get rid of this shit. Throw it in the trash. Don't ever have it come back again. Get rid of this, whatever the fuck it is. It stinks. There's a reason 2 guys on the mic, both The Rock and Drew, who are killing it on the mic and who are resonating with the audience like no other, have used the word cringe to describe it. And again, I get that Rollins ran with it because it's so over with the crowd. But this dude is so much better in so many other ways. The different versions of Seth Rollins can be so much better. This gimmick sucks, and it's gotta go. I don't give a fuck if they like singing the song. It's got to go. If you told me the one thing that we got out of this WrestleMania was Seth Rollins ditching this fucking gimmick, I will say it is the greatest WrestleMania of all time. Ben, bring us home a little bit because we're short on time. But here we go.
No, yeah, that's Nick feels strongly about that, and folks, if you're following him on Twitter, you know that Nick feels very, very strongly about this Seth Rollins.
I like Seth Rollins. I hate that.
I can't say I agree. I can't say I agree or disagree, but when we talk about organic, someone being organic,
it sucks.
It doesn't seem too organic.
It's not organic.
But no, Drew's the best he's ever been. I like that idea of Punk coming out night 2 talking about entrances. If once you hear that static and you hear the cult of personality, the place is going to explode at the end night 2 if that leads off. It's going to explode no matter what when he comes out, so it doesn't matter. But let's end with the entrance that's probably going to be the entrance of WrestleMania. We talked about Jade. Jade's going to be great, but I think Cody's entrance, and I'm pretty sure Downstate is going to play him out to the ring. I think that seems
I hope
to be
they do some good.
Like the worst kept secret.
I hope they do some
so
good
too.
sound checks. But yeah, I agree with you.
I think so, and I think that is going to be the entrance of the weekend is Cody coming out, because that's especially night 2. Save them for night 2. Because the bigger match for Cody. Save that, and them coming out, and that you wake the people up. It's going to be late. The main event of night 2. The whole weekend was crazy. but they'll be up for that because that is in the last 15 years. This is the biggest WrestleMania main event I think that we've had. But
Does
when it comes to
Cody come
story,
from?
everything.
Does Cody use the Cody Vader? Is he coming out from underneath this time?
Does he got dude? Put that Vader to the goddamn rafters of Lincoln Financial.
He's got to do
Just have
something
him.
big. I don't want. I don't mind what he has now, but I hate the boom and he just appears like
It's got to
WrestleMania.
be something,
Got
dude.
to
It's,
do something, man.
and his
Like you got.
and his gear is going to be wild. His jacket's going to be wild. That woe is going to like break the goddamn sound barrier.
I want his crest. I want like a 50-foot tall crest that he comes out of like the fucking skull's mouth or something like that. Like it's gotta be a next level thing, Ben.
I think so too. I don't think we're gonna get like the Miz had at 27, which just said awesome with balloons. He came from behind.
Dude, the Miz. All right, we're gonna.
I thought that was the cheesiest.
We're gonna close on thing. I remember that. I know that he had the bubble letters, and I get it. But it did seem a little bit of a disservice for him to have them to be balloons. But man.
Oh.
And the Miz's tan, dude, it was like leaking off his body.
It was
so bad, man.
I love it.
I loved it. Like he wasn't even orange. He was Hogan leather, but it was like wet still at the time. You know, Maurice was probably doing, spraying him in his face, like literally right as like, games you. Anyway, Ben, please sign us off. We got to get out of here.
Now, again, out of here, folks. Enjoy WrestleMania. It's going to be a hell of an event. Be a fan. Just enjoy it. Keep it positive. Keep it trucking. Keep the shades on because the sun never sets on a cool guy.
Later, Marks.